Hey guys, welcome to Smoker Talk with Philip and Andrea at the Night Acres. We'll be right back.
Grab you a drink, guys.
Hey guys, welcome to the Night Acres. We're going to try this little segment, see what you guys think of it. We're going to call it Smoker Talk because today we've been relatively busy this morning especially. We had a pretty good harvest today in the last couple of days. We'll share some pictures in the video as we go. We were just kind of talking. We shared some of our produce today with some of our neighbors. Shared some eggs with them. They regularly buy eggs from us. But today we thought we'd just throw them a goodie bag together with some squash and some tomatoes and potatoes and I forget what else. We put a bunch of stuff in there, corn. We don't ask anything for it. We're just being neighborly. And tonight, or this evening, I should say, while we're waiting on the smoker, and that's the reason we're calling it Smoker Talk, is we had some family members come over, and we shared some vegetables with them, and we kind of got talking about your local communities, and we decided just to make a video about it, talk about it, because essentially that's what we're doing. We've shared vegetables with some good friends, vegetables, eggs, stuff with good friends, family. There's an amazing farmers market up in the town, probably about 6 miles away from us, that we frequent. We don't go to sell vegetables. We actually go to buy, support them. I mean, we don't really buy vegetables there because pretty much everybody around here kind of grows the same thing. Your squash, your tomatoes, your cucumbers, peppers, things like that. But we go up there and look and see if there is something new, something different. We found a gentleman here a few weeks ago he would grow his own mushrooms. I forget what kind.
What about oyster mushrooms?
Okay, oyster mushrooms. And he builds these little ecosystems that these things thrive in, and you cut a slice in the bag and they continually grow on your countertop.
Yeah.
So we're going to show you that.
We'll
when
put a
we
video together for that.
When we get rolling with it, we'll show you. It's pretty neat. I mean, we'll see how it goes. We enjoy fresh mushrooms, and if we have it right there on the countertop, so be it. I mean, I think hopefully what we produce out of that will save us money in the long run because we buy a lot of mushrooms. We eat them in salads and all sorts of other stuff.
I'd like to be able to dehydrate some and then, use them like later in soups and things like that.
Yeah. Another thing we've got going, I mean, like I said, we harvested today. A lot of tomatoes, different varieties that we have, a lot of peppers, and that's what we're smoking right now. I made some stuffed peppers with sausage and cream cheese and wrapped in bacon, and we really enjoy it, and it makes it even better on the smoker, but it doesn't take long. So we're out here just kind of hanging out and having a drink and enjoying the shade in the evening and just kind of winding down for the day and actually getting ready to go to work tomorrow. So,
yeah.
But we were decided we would talk about a community. During our conversation with some of our family members earlier, we got talking about the community, like I said. And that's something that you don't really see anymore, is people getting to know their neighbors, getting to know your neighborhood if you live in town. People don't really seem to take an active interest in their neighbors' lives. I'm not saying be the nosy neighbors.
No, don't be nosy.
No.
But I just remember growing up, you could ride your bike around the neighborhood and, you really didn't have to worry about, your kids being snatched up or anything like that. And It's, or, I mean, when we lived in, part of the reason we moved out here was to get out of town because some of the neighborhood kids in the neighborhood we lived with, I mean, they would vandalize and, especially like 4th of July, they would shoot mortar rounds at other people's cars and at people's houses and things like that. And
Yep.
I don't want no part of that. So, but we do need to get back to a time where you can rely on your neighbor. Like, there's no point. Like, we could literally solve, like, world hunger
I think so.
if people would just grow neighborhood gardens. And everybody participates, everyone pitches in with either work or money or the yard or whatever, and everybody gets to pick from the garden, the whole neighborhood,
Right.
just little small community gardens. And there's enough empty lots in both the towns that we live next to that that's a real possibility. Like, if just take the initiative and build a garden and feed your neighborhood. It would be very easy.
And the gentleman the reason I brought the mushrooms up was the gentleman we bought the mushrooms from. He's actually one of the organizers of the farmers market, and we're going to have him on on my friend and I's podcast, the What If Tomorrow podcast. And we're going to talk just about building community because Mark and I, we've been for the last year talking about build a community. And it's not as hard as you think. Just talk to your neighbor. I'm not a people person. By any stretch of the imagination am I a people person. But I'm forcing myself out of my comfort zone to talk to people. To me, because that's most important, because it doesn't matter your political views. I truly don't believe it does, because people are people. And I think you can find common ground. The average person, you guys will all agree with something.
I think the majority of people, I mean, if you want to go political or whatever, we're not going to agree 100% all the way through, but I guarantee you most people are just good people and want to just live their lives and do the things that they enjoy without, being policed or micromanaged, I guess would be a better way to say it.
And I can't really speak for big cities, because the county we live in probably has around 30,000 people. So it's not a big area, especially the county. I think the biggest city we have has like 11,000 people in it. So the bigger cities I can't necessarily speak for. I don't like them. I've been to several, obviously, but I can't say I care for them. But people are still people. They have the same needs. Everybody has dreams. Everybody has wants, desires, and all that. But you join or you live in a neighborhood generally with people that are of a like mind. So why not go over and just start a conversation across your fence in your backyard with your neighbor? Pitch in, help out, if they have a newborn or somebody's sick, or just being neighborly. Step up and say, hey,
as a mom, like when I had my kids, like the best thing was a meal that I didn't have to cook.
Right. There's all sorts of things you can do. Start a community watch. There's so many things, so many ways you can organize and pull your community together. One thing I absolutely disagree with are HOAs. I would never live in one. But it seems to me that for the most part, they want a nice community, and I understand the reasoning behind them. But you could do that without having to pay the extra money.
You're not going to tell me what I can't do in my yard.
And this isn't something to rail against HOAs. I live so far from a neighborhood that it's not funny. Our nearest neighbor is about 3/4 of a mile away. I enjoy it though. I love the peace and quiet. I love the sounds, the smells. unless we have a good south wind where all our animals are and it just rains, I don't care for that. But
It's really just the chickens. Like, we have
yeah,
pigs, and people have asked me if they stink. I'm like, not compared to the chickens, they
yeah, the
don't.
chickens are bad. But
Granted, if ours are in a run, like they're pinned up all day long, and they have lots of space. Like, don't take that negatively, but I mean, if they were able to free range and didn't, and it would be better. But I mean, there's hawks flying out here all the time, and just beyond where our pigs are, it's overgrown pasture. So coyotes could
yeah,
literally walk up and, you know, get into the pig pen, or, if they tried hard enough to get into the chicken. I mean, if they were free range, they could just,
yeah.
they would be able to get them really
We've
easily.
lost some to coyotes. Um, she and I went somewhere for the weekend, and we had somebody watching our kids over the weekend, and they didn't get the door shut to the chicken coop. And the chickens got out, and there were feathers everywhere. It happens. I mean,
It is. I mean, yeah, it happens. It is what it is.
but it makes it harder when you're trying to live this lifestyle, a preparedness lifestyle or homesteading, as you could say, or self-sufficiency. It makes it harder when you lose your livestock because you're depending on those. We really haven't bought a ton of groceries since we started harvesting our garden.
no.
As you see in our previous videos, we harvested some quail. That's 3 meals that we don't have to buy. Now, did we pay to feed them and all that? Absolutely, we did. So it
Yeah,
cost us some money.
I mean, it was probably kind of expensive in the long run, but I know how they were raised. I know what went into them. They didn't put any funky anything. It was grown as an animal.
Yep.
It wasn't, grown in a lab. And, we know where it came from. It
Yep.
came from here. And it's going to be delicious.
Yeah. And that's what's important. I mean, we're about a month out from butchering chickens. Another couple of months, or we're going to send our first hog to the butcher.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all going to be self-provided. Sure, it's costing us in feed, but what's been great about having the garden with the chickens and the hogs is if we have a bad tomato or something like that a worm's gotten into that's really ate a lot of it, or a cucumber.
Which we've actually had a lot, because of our plants aren't standing up properly. Yeah. So a lot of them end up sitting on the ground, and so it's very easy access for bugs to get to. And so they'll, eat their way through the bottom of it. You'll have this perfect tomato on top, and then the whole bottom of it's been eaten out by bugs and this and that. But the chickens don't care.
No.
They'll eat the bugs too.
Yep.
So.
And we've been feeding lamb's quarter. Our hogs love lamb's quarter.
Mm-hmm.
We're feeding them, wild, what a lot of people would consider weeds, but they're edible. We even eat some of the lamb's quarter. We mix it in the egg.
Good. It tastes. I mean, it's like it's a spinach. I mean, it tastes like spinach, but it's like more of an intense spinach, if you will. But yeah, it's really good. It's more nutrient dense. I've said that in another video. Than spinach is. So there's going to be more iron, more potassium, all your minerals that you need. But yeah, we put it in there with the pigs, and they tear it up. They love it.
But that's just the lifestyle we're living. We're not saying if you're enjoying these videos, and we hope you are.
You should have your friends subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely. Share it with them. But everybody can do something. It doesn't matter where you live. If you live in an apartment, you can still grow something to feed yourself.
You're not going to obviously have a giant garden.
Right.
But, you can grow things in pots. You can grow a tomato plant in a container. It doesn't have to be in the ground. You can grow potatoes in containers. Or the vertical planter, the green stalk. I mean, you can grow all kinds of things in those. I've seen people grow tomato plants in those, and strawberries, and, lettuce. I mean, all kinds of things.
So do something to provide for yourself. because there may be a point in time in the near future that you may not have that option, or you may not have the ability to go. I mean, if you're looking at inflation and the price of groceries, obviously, I mean,
Like, I went to the grocery store last weekend. My dad was coming up, and our tomatoes just started kind of kicking off, started turning, and he wanted a bologna sandwich with a big old slice of tomato on it. And I was like, all right, I can make that happen for you. So I just got a sandwich. I got bread, and I got some pickles, which I prefer the Clausen pickles. So because they make the sandwich slices, which is perfect for a sandwich. But I got those, and I got the spears, and just that, and sandwich stuff, meat, cheese, bread. I spent $75.
yeah, it's crazy. It's ridiculous.
I got chips too, but like three different kinds of chips. That's it. 3 bags of chips and the sandwich stuff. $75. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. You're probably getting half of what you were able to 3 or 4 years ago at the same price.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's advantageous to grow your own food, is because, yeah, you're going to be out to work. You're going to be out the money for the
Exercise
seed.
is good for you, though.
The exercise is good for you, even though it's been 100 degrees. I mean, this past couple of days have been really nice. But we're coming up on 100-degree days here, because it's towards the end of July. And it's just
July
that
and
time of
August,
year.
it's going to be hot.
But the work is rewarding. The seeds are relatively cheap. You can buy them anywhere, online or whatever. And they're easier than what you think they are to sow and get rolling.
Yeah. Like cucumbers, you can direct sow really easily. I started mine ahead of time and transplanted them, but you don't have to. That's absolutely not necessary. There's time now, and we're in zone 6B if you want to get super accurate. But we could replant cucumbers and they would be growing enough to have a second harvest.
Yep.
We're not going to, because ours are still producing, and you could replant zucchini and yellow squash right now and have a second harvest. Ours are also still producing, as you'll see in the photos we add to this video. But it's not too late, and you can grow those in containers as well. Like, it doesn't, obviously the cucumbers are going to want to climb something, but as long as you have a big enough container for a zucchini plant, it'll be fine.
But back to the community, that's where it starts. You don't have to do what we've done. We're doing it just to be nice. We have God has, blessed us with an abundant garden this year. And so we're sharing our abundance with our neighbors. One of our neighbors, he's brought down, some beef he's had butchered and given to us.
Yeah, gave us a roast.
Out of nothing. And, so it's just kind of the what we do here. Another neighbor that we took to today, he's going to give us some pears off of his tree. I love fresh pears.
So we're going to get our hog butchered. And I've made pulled pork tacos with a pear salsa. So it's pear and jalapeno and onions and cilantro.
It's delicious.
It's so good.
We'll have to make it and show you guys the recipe and stuff. It's amazing.
Back on community.
But that's what it's about. It's about, hey, we're not necessarily trading anything or anything like that, but we're just kind of helping each other out. That's what it's about right now. Financially, people have essentially lost money because your dollar doesn't go as far.
Nope.
I have an abundant garden, or I should say we, because honestly, she's put more work into it than I have.
Facts.
But
I planted like 90%
probably.
of it.
But that's what it's about. It's about pulling together your neighbors, your close friends, family, because that's something I believe that we're missing today.
Yeah.
We've been kept so divided over stupid songs and movies, and people are just up in arms about anything.
Everything. They'll find about anything.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings that I've heard, and I'll nicen it up a little bit, but people would complain if you kicked them with a new boot. You know, they would just, that's the way it seems to me, the online environment, through your social media and all that. People just argue over in my opinion, the dumbest things.
Yeah. People are just looking for something to do. You're just bored, go garden. You're
Right.
that bored, go build a garden.
People will throw something up there. Oh, let me see your sources. Well, you throw them sources, all those sources aren't reputable and all that. It doesn't matter. What I read online, it's not going to change my mind from somebody else saying so. I'm going to consume what I want to consume, just like you are. The most important group that you can belong to is your local community, because when times get tough, that's who's going to be there, not some.
Yeah, that's who you're going to lean on.
Yeah, not some Joe that's online. I don't care about my online persona. I don't post a lot to Facebook or anything like that. Don't really care about it. But unfortunately, there's some people that consume their entire life. It's social media and video games and all of this stuff that consumes their lives. Sure, I take part in all of that. I enjoy playing video games now and again. I get on Facebook.
I mean, I like to mindlessly scroll Facebook.
Right.
Because sometimes I just want to not think about anything.
Right. And the people getting mad over somebody else's opinion. It's ridiculous. And to me, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's ridiculous. So draw closer to your neighbors, draw closer to your families. If you have family that you don't talk to or are estranged from for some reason, reach out. Reach out. Because in hard times, which I fear, in my opinion, is what's coming, you're going to need them. They're going to need you.
Really? I feel like we'll be lucky if it's just a Great Depression.
Right. So, I mean, the world is changing through technology, AI. I mean, we can go on and on and on about it. Not getting into that. But the one thing I think will remain the same as long as people are willing is a good, strong community.
Yeah. So, I mean, how often do you go to a neighborhood barbecue? Not a family barbecue, not a family reunion, nothing like that. Just literally like your neighborhood getting together. And granted, we don't have a neighborhood.
Right.
But like, when was the last time? Just because.
Right.
Someone just kicked off a barbecue.
So, you know what?
Which we were invited to one, was last weekend, but we
already had plans. Yeah.
We were going to go see Sound of Freedom, and I think it's very important that people go watch that movie.
Yeah. And that's a good idea. I mean, if it sounds good to you, you start it off. Start off a neighborhood barbecue. Hey, start talking to your neighbor, especially if you don't know them. Reach out, say, hey, you want to come over? I'm going to throw some stuff on the grill. Something, maybe some chickens or burgers and hot dogs, anything simple, but get to know your neighbors. It's hard to take that first step. Trust me, I know. It's hard. But it's important that you do. Be that leader in that community. At least until you feel comfortable with somebody else taking that leadership role. But start pulling your neighbors together. Help each other out. Sure, this is small town USA. But it's still the issue at hand. It doesn't matter how small of an area, how big of an area, because people don't come together like they need to anymore.
No.
But folks, I mean, I would like to ask you to seriously think about it. Start trying to pull your community together. If you live in a small town, if you live in a big city, if you live in a neighborhood or an apartment complex, start trying to pull your community together. Build your community. Get to know your neighbors. Because again, that's who you're going to need to trust in hard times. You know,
Start a community garden.
start a community garden right now. It's time. You have time.
I mean, if everyone had a garden like we got going on this year, hopefully they would have trellised or did something with their tomatoes. But even if it was just a garden just to be donated, I mean,
Yeah.
that would feed so many people.
Yep.
Maybe we should find some people.
Yeah. Sure we can. With that being said, guys, I don't have a lot more. I just seriously ask that you think about it and consider it and take that first step no matter how hard it is, because you never know what's going to be on the other side. And also, if you enjoy this content, please do us a favor, like, subscribe, share. I mean, that would help us more than anything right now. It's just sharing our content and getting it out there and letting people know, hey, we're here and we're normal people. But guys, we appreciate it. We thank you for hanging out here at the Night Acres with us this evening. And we'll talk to you in the next episode.
Bye.